What's up, everybody? It's Enigma Towles. Look, guys, we gotta talk. All right, so I'm seeing, over the past week or two, there's been this blow up about the greatest rappers of all time list. I will say I do enjoy the fact that hip hop is being talked about, and we're actually having that discussion about where we place certain artists as far as what they bring to the game and everything like that. I want to say that at the beginning, the way that the conversation started was off of a podcast that put out a list. And the funny thing about it was it got as much as attention as it did because of who they had as third, which was Joe Budden. So that became like the new meme or the new joke about the list. But I'm seeing that now we're really having this discussion about who's the greatest rappers of all time. And I can't lie to you, I'm actually kind of annoyed by it. It's a little sad because I personally have a problem with lists. And that problem is when you think about what a list is a way to constrict and to put things in a chronological order. So let's look at it this way. If you were in a class with other students or whatever, and there was a list put out about who is the best student, and it's based off of, the teacher's preferences, criteria, then what happens is it starts to show favoritism, and then it becomes a different equation because the teacher's intention is to bring the best out of each student individually. I feel like in rap, particularly, every rapper that I would assume to think, I don't know in the grand scheme of nowadays, but I would assume that the artists who are out nowadays are looking to be the greatest of all time. If you're not doing it for that, then what are you doing it for? We all bring special, unique attributes to the game, and we want to show people that we can really do it. If you talk to an artist who may be successful, makes a lot of money, and artists that don't make no money at all or is not necessarily successful, they want something out of being in the game of hip hop. So I don't think that it's fair as a rapper to say, okay, well, all right, I need to make sure I hit this benchmark in order to hit this list. So then I want to go into the aspect about the list itself. Let's look at a list. Anybody's list has a why behind it. There's an intent behind every list. Even the list that came out that started everything. And then I'm seeing all the other lists that followed behind it. We can all look at them and be like, okay, this person may have an agenda. This person may have relationships with this person or this particular individual. This individual who may be associated with some management that they like over the years, or maybe this person doesn't like them as much and they exclude somebody off of trying to send a message to them or send a shot. And now we have to base it off of this original list. So let's take it in the sense that, let's say you come up with a list, and this is why I don't do it, because I've tried it before. I've tried to come up with a greatest of all time list. And if I take the one I made in 2007 and compared it to the one I made in 2012 or 13, the list is completely different. The criteria changes, the people that I listen to, my preferences, my life experiences, they all change, and therefore the list will keep changing. Hip hop keeps improving. Certain artists come out, some artists kind of trickle off. It's always going to change. But when you think about the greatest of all time, you have to think about that over a 30 to 40 year window of artists that some of these kids who come out with these lists have no idea who are on it. So then you try to take that list and you try to pitch it to them. You're like, okay, well, this kid doesn't know who Big Daddy Kane is. This kid doesn't know who Scarface is, KRS-One, Rakim. You try to pitch that list to them. They don't even know what you're talking about. I mean, where I live currently, I could take my list right now and half of the people won't even know who the artists are on it. Like, they won't know who a Joel Santana is, or a J.R. Ryder, or AZ, or some don't even like Jay-Z, some don't like Nas. Like, you're going to have that problem all across the board because everybody's preferences are different. Everybody sees the world from a different lens. Some people may not sit on a list higher than the way that you may have placed them. So I know somebody who has a list and 21 Savage has made it on the top 50 on their list. Do I feel that he's on that list? Maybe not so much mine, based on a different criteria than that person put out on theirs. But that's not to discredit 21 Savage from being on a list. He should be on somebody's list. Whatever the creator of that list says, this is the criteria. This is based off of what my knowledge of hip hop is and where I've experienced it, and therefore I want to put out this list. All right, I'll give you another example. I don't particularly like country music. My wife listens to it, but I don't. So if she puts out a list of her top 50 country artists of all time, then when I see certain people on her list, I'm gonna be like, well, I don't know who that person is, or I don't really listen to country. I don't know what criteria or what makes this person greater. I could give her my list, and she may be familiar with certain artists on the list, but if I say something about Black Thought from the Roots, she's not going to know what I'm talking about. Not necessarily, unless she grew up off of them and had the same experience that I did. It's all different. Everybody's different. It's just like if she showed me Bob Seger or, I don't know, Scott McCreery. I don't know, something crazy like that. And I don't know much about those artists to be like, okay, well, I need to pay attention to what this artist is doing, and therefore it must mean something if it's on her list. And, you know, I'm seeing a lot of other videos that are coming out that kind of mirror the same sentiment. So, you know, I want to know what your stance is on it, because I can go on for days about artists that I appreciate and artists that I listen to on a consistent basis. Even the artists I listen to consistently has changed over the years. So does that mean that my list changes because what I listen to on the regular has changed? Let's think about that in that regard too. Last but not least, what about a solution? Let's all come up with a solution. If you have a solution to maybe, is it possible? Do you feel it's possible that we can have a list created where everybody is satisfied? And if you can, please let me know, because it's not going to happen. You're not even going to be satisfied with your own list. And that's why I feel like it's going to be so hard for somebody to put a list in place and it be effective and ultimately please everybody like it's possible. Try it and see what happens. But I want to be a person that would like to revolutionize the list. So what I think would be best is if we had tiers. Let's say top 20 meant this is a tier, or top 20 or 30 is a tier, or sort of like how battle rap does, where you have your proving grounds, then you have your on the come up kind of guys, or you got your mid tier, you got your top tier, and then you have like your God tier. I feel like it still gives everybody something to strive for, but it also keeps the chronological order of, you know, okay, this person is here. So like, look in battle rap, you got your, you know, your Loaded Luxes, your Hollow the Dons, and all of that. You got those guys that are considered God tier, or you may have your top tiers. Well, your top tier is like a T-Top, or I mean, the list goes on. Top tier is pretty big. Well, when you look at your top tier artists in battle rap, then you know where to place them properly. There's no, okay, number one is blank. Well, if you start breaking them into a certain order, then you have to go by criteria. What's the criteria that says that this person is higher than this person? That's not what hip-hop is about. Hip-hop is about being the best at what you do best and what you contribute to it. If you're a person that just says, I just want to be number one, for one, number one is not attainable in that sense, because for one, you'd have to put in a lot of work and a lot of time. You have to do things across the board, and you have to be perfect at that because there's so many people in the same pool as you. Then you also got another problem where you have to maintain that for whatever period of time that you've worked hard for. And who's to say that by the time you turn 20 years into your career, some new kid comes by and he's knocking out the boards in 2 years, or he does it 10 times better than you do. So your list will be flawed again. If not today, the next day over. So yeah, definitely let me know what your stance is on this. And thank you for watching my video, everybody. Peace.